Thank you, lady. Oh, y'all look beautiful. Yes, colorful, serving, colors, patterns.
Yes, you have to.
SNA, thank you so much for bringing H&M to the table and allowing them to host this panel and conversation. First, I would like to start with, I know that I read in your bio that you started in finance and then transitioned to media and entertainment, but when I spoke to you, I believe it was earlier this week, you mentioned that it took you a little time to find your voice. Tell us about how you found your voice and you were able to now spearhead diversity and inclusion at a major company such as H&M.
Yeah, I think it's important that whether you're an entrepreneur or you're someone working in corporate America, you have to figure out what your voice is and what your role is. And for me, trying to do that, I really was like in my network. So the person sitting to your left and the right, that's who I spoke to. And I asked them, what do you think I'm good at? What do you think I should do? What do you think the next step would be? And as opportunities came my way, I reached out to my girl tribe to ask them, like, what do you think about these opportunities? And now granted, every single time I did not agree with them because I have some strong opinionated friends, as I'm sure a lot of you all have. But I value their opinion. And so when I transferred from financial services to media entertainment, I worked at Viacom MTV for 11 and a half years. And in that time, I had a lot of opportunities to do a lot of things. And really what I found out is I wasn't gonna get that far if I was just sitting at my desk getting the work done. You have to do hard work, but people also have to know who you are. You have to be able to share your story, and for them to say, oh yeah, I see this girl, not only is she fly, but she's smart, she's educated, she knows how to get things done. So I started networking and volunteering for a lot of things, and that included a lot of things in a diversity and inclusion space. And then so while I was there for 11 and a half years, like I had an opportunity, well, I wanted to move abroad. And at that time, I had to figure out like how to pitch myself to be able to move. And when I created the deck and I was gonna go to my boss, I had to talk about it. And I was like, well, you know what? I don't have anything to lose. The worst that they can do is tell me no. And even if they tell me no, I'm still employed. I'm still getting my paycheck. But what I did was plant that seed for them to know that I was interested in something else. And I think a lot of times we are always afraid to plant that seed because we're always looking for that automatic yes. But just planting the seed is steps towards your yes. And then that first time that I made that pitch, they told me no, surprise. But then what happened is 6 months later exactly, they were like, oh, we have an opportunity that's coming up and we think you'll be perfect for it and they will require you to move to Italy. I'm like, okay, duh, like I'm gonna do it. But if I never did that initial pitch, they would have never known that I was even interested in doing something like that. So it's really important, and that's really how I found my voice, by being really okay with the no, and then being able to push forward, and then which led me to my role here at H&M.
That is absolutely right. Well, a lot of times we are afraid to hear the no, and it's not always a no, sometimes it's just a not yet. You know, but it's definitely important to step into that. Christina, you have your own marketing and PR firm and entertainment. Tell us about some of the clients that you represented and how you began to hone your pitching skills.
Oh, wow. So I was in PR for 15 years, and I was in-house. I started in-house fashion, luxury fashion. Then I moved to entertainment, and I worked with a number of celebrities, Ice Cube, Snoop, Sierra, Lil' Kim. And then I went back into fashion, and my last fashion job, I was there for 2 years, and then I got laid off. And at the time, I was like, I don't know if I really want to go work for someone else, and so I decided to launch my own PR agency, and that was in 2010. And actually, one of my first clients was Nicole Kane. So we've been friends for 9, 10 years, oh, there she is, and she was one of my first PR clients. And since then, I've worked with Anheuser-Busch and Tide and American Airlines. And 2 years ago, or 3 years ago actually, is when I actually just experienced burnout. And I was also going through a very difficult breakup with a toxic relationship. And I was looking for something to really kind of save my life. And so I started taking yoga. And through that journey, I decided to get my yoga teacher certification. And I didn't know if I actually wanted to teach. I just knew that this investment was really for me and for my development within. And so through that journey is when I started noticing that there were very few women of color in my classes. And even in my 50-plus person yoga training, I was the only black woman. And so that's where the idea of Homme Noir came from.
So with Homme Noir, though, how did you find the angle, if you will, to pitch it properly? Because pitching entertainers, especially entertainers or people that already have perhaps large names or large followings, it seems like they might be a little bit easier to pitch. For those of us who are trying to launch something, just trying to find our voice, what's a tip or two that you can share with us on maybe how you found your voice to start to pitch Homme Noir?
Well, what's really interesting is that for 15 years, I was pitching other clients, so I was used to being behind the scenes. And I also kind of struggle with that introvert-extrovert that a lot of us, have. But it was really a challenge for me when I started my own company to start talking about myself and to start pitching myself, because I was so used to doing it for other people. So really what it was, and also I had a fear of public speaking. So what it was that I had to get to the heart of why I started Homme Noir, and that was really to be in service of women of color, and also to start to work within, which a lot of us, we go through life and we are focusing on our careers, we're focusing on all of these other external things, and our mission is living well from the inside out. And a lot of us, we focus on building a successful career versus a successful life. And when you have a successful life, you are healthy in your relationships, you're eating good, you're working out, you're successful in your career. So when I got to the heart of what I was doing for Homme Noir and what I was doing in service of women of color is when I really found my voice. And I always say this, is that, so many entrepreneurs in here are just women who are trying to find their voice, is that you have to answer 3 questions. Who am I? What do I do? And how do I show up in the world? For me, Homme Noir is how I show up. So you can never not get me in any room, on any elevator, on any stage, and not be able to talk about how I show up to the world, especially for women of color.
So I realize I also need to take a step back as well. How many of you in the room are familiar with what an elevator pitch is? Y'all better come here prepared. So for those of you that don't know, an elevator pitch is supposedly if you were to step into an elevator with the person that could take your business to the next level, by the time they get off on their floor, can you tell them clearly and succinctly what it is that you do? Can you convey to them, hi, my name is Dana Blair, I'm Queen Long Hair, Don't Care, and I want to be your next X, Y, and Z. In that moment, being very clear with your vision, as you mentioned. Pauleanna, as a producer, as a writer and journalist, I'm sure you pitch stories all the time. What do you feel makes a good story? What catches your eye? Because we have a lot of businesses in here that are getting started or in a certain place who are coming to outlets looking to share their story and to get coverage.
I have so much to say. Okay, so
get into it, girl. We got notepads out. Do it.
If you have a notebook, if you have a pen, if you have an iPad, now's the time to take notes. So,
and everyone in the room, if you could please give us your attention and silence a little bit, that would be great. We greatly appreciate it. That's those of you back there by the bar.
All right, so on a weekly basis, I receive at least at minimum 50 pitches. 47 of those pitches are incorrectly done, right? So your goal is to not get your email deleted. So I'm gonna tell you how to run your race, right? So R stands for readiness, right? So you wanna make sure that you have creative collateral ready at all times. Press kit, media kit, you'd be surprised how many people do not even have a headshot. I can't write my article without creative collateral. Another thing is you wanna make sure, jumping on her point, you want to make sure that you can articulate your story. How are you contributing to a conversation at a community level, an industry level, or the world at large? In the world of entrepreneurship, which part of it is yours? Again, another thing that I want to stress is that you want to be a superhero on a local level before you hit me up on a global scale, right? If your neighbors don't even know what you do, then you're not ready to pitch to me at Forbes. right? So A stands for audience. Your company addresses a specific need for a specific type of person. You need to figure out where this person lives, not geographically, but what publications are they reading. You're gonna go on Google and your wish list, your publication wish list, you're gonna look up their media kit, and you're gonna see if your consumer aligns with who reads Essence and Forbes. At Forbes, we have a millennial audience that's very entrepreneurial. They value solutions. So you're not gonna pitch me an inspirational story. I need action steps. I need to know what problem you are solving, okay? The worst thing you can do is pitch me and your first line is, I wanna share my story in Forbes. No, you don't. You're not ready, right? The next thing is C, contacts. You need a contact to get a contract, right? So how are you gonna find these contacts? You are going to go to your Twitter advanced search, right? You're gonna look up keywords, editor, deputy editor, writer, journalist. You're gonna go to platforms such as hunter.io.
Write that down.
Hunter.io allows you to find any email at any company. Girl, that'll double your income, triple your income, right? And then on top of that, you want to go to Haro, H-A-R-O, right? Help a reporter out. You'll get if you subscribe, you'll get an email every day with journalists who are looking for features and expert quotes, right? And then there's Media Bistro. Media Bistro will allow you to find contacts at various publications. Last but not least, the execution. Organize your email, simple email etiquette. People are not putting paragraphs. People are sending me pitches that are 1,000 words. I don't have time. So edit your email, and I guarantee you can get your pitch in less than 500, 600 words. The other thing is, I am not your sweetie, I'm not your love, I'm not your honey, my name is not Paula, my name is not Pauleanna. Spell my name right and give me that respect. Because I guarantee you will not be able to enter another inbox if you misspell the editor's name. And then the last thing is the timing of your pitch is very important. So if you're gonna send me a pitch for Mother's Day, you wanna make sure that you send it to me at least, I would say, 2 months prior. And the very final thing is track your emails. You can use Yesware, you can use Toot, you can use Mail Tracker. Girl, I'm giving you all the gems, right? Track your email because it will help with your follow-up.
Yes. Now, that's another thing. I credit social media to this. Sometimes, yes, you got the claps. I also credit social media to this. Sometimes just because you follow someone on social media doesn't mean you know them.
Yeah,
You don't know them.
Say that again.
You may think you know that their daughter was born on the 3rd Sunday of the month. Don't be like, hey girl, how's Sue? People are gonna be like, who are you?
I need a hello, good afternoon,
yes,
how
hello,
are you?
Exactly.
And then talk.
That etiquette is so important. Tamisha, you also receive tons of pitches at a major outlet. You're at CNN and HLN currently. How does and Pauleanna mentioned timing. So when you're looking at a story and you're assessing it and you're like, oh, this may or may not be the right timing, and you communicate that with me, what's the best way for me to maintain a relationship with you and not just come around whenever I need something, but to maintain a relationship with you with also not being a stalker? Okay.
Yeah, so the main thing, especially when it comes to news, is know what's in the news, know what's current. So check, whether it's business section, whether it's lifestyle, whatever it is, make sure whatever your business is, you can spin it so that you can have that angle of the news aspect. Because I'm always looking for what is happening right now. And so every week, if you are emailing me each week, then you're going to stay on my radar. And don't feel like, I'm emailing her too much. But if you are abreast of what's happening, then I want to hear from you. So just emailing me every week with pitches, because people fall off. Pitches are a lot of work. Pitching is a lot of work, and it's almost a full-time job in and of itself. So if you are consistent and you are staying abreast of what's happening, then I want to hear from you. So just stay in my inbox. That's the most important thing.
Well, I think I just want to make sure that we underline and highlight what they're saying, right? Because they're coming from the journalist, editor side. And from a brand perspective, I get a lot of, can we sit, can we do this, can we do as designers, everything. And I delete a lot of emails because you get too many. I mean, like my inbox today is 250. And I've been working every single day and checking all of my emails. So why do I still have 250 unread emails? And then when they misspell my name, automatic, I don't even bother. And then a lot of times too, you're not really saying anything. It's like, hey, I would love to do a designer collaboration with H&M. That's fantastic. I would love for you to do one too. But I don't have the time to like try to figure out who you are, how, like what are you selling, and does it make sense to the brand? Because that timing is so critical. I'm wearing a H&M collection that we have that's releasing in 2 weeks. It's from our first African designer, South African lady. And then for her, it made like what she has a lot of array of different designs, right? But when she came to pitch us, she pitched us what would make sense for the brand. So it's an easier sell because a lot of people like I get a lot of like graffiti stuff, and I'm like, for what we're selling right now, it doesn't make sense. So you have to make sure the timing is good and that you have all the information necessary in the email so it's quick and I can react to you and follow up with you very quickly.
So I want to, I want to kind of speak from a publicist standpoint. I'm sure there's some junior publicists in the room. One of the things, email etiquette is number one. I always approach any email when I was pitching clients, hi Pauleanna, I hope this email finds you well. I would love to present this story idea to you. Number one, and my crown jewel of my entire 15-year PR career is when I got a client on Good Morning America. And that pitch took 9 months to come to completion. And how I found the producer to pitch is that I actually had Cision. So Cision is another PR tool, but it's very pricey. And so I would look at all the producers at Good Morning America, and then I would go to their social media. And at the time, I was representing Demetria Lucas, and I wanted to pitch her as a relationship expert on Good Morning America. So I went through all the producers, I went to their Twitter, I went through their Instagram, and I found one, young black guy, super fly, and I'm like, I bet he knows who Demetria Lucas is. And I also was working with Nicole at the same time. So I emailed him my pitch for Demetria. He responded immediately. I know who Demetria is. I love her. I was like, got him, right? He was like, let me run this by Robin's producing team. I'll circle back. When I saw him, I met him in person. 3 weeks later, I was with Demetria and I was with Nicole at an Essence event. So at that point, I was able to introduce him to Demetria and Nicole at the time because I was pitching both of them. And then we kept talking over the course of those 9 months. I would send him things that Demetria was doing. I'll send him things that Nicole was doing. And he always responded, let me run it by the team. And then out of the blue, 9 months later, after my first pitch to him, he said, we want Demetria on the show in 3 days. Can she do it? And that was about relationship, that was consistency, but that was also being able to identify the person that was the best to pitch at Good Morning America. And even sometimes with Forbes, my placement in Forbes in December of 2017 came from me looking through all of the writers at Forbes. I was looking at their articles, what they wrote about, and what was relevant to the client that I was pitching at the time. Because I was working my PR company and Homme Noir at the same time. So I could not find this one writer's email for anything. And I am a Google queen. I will turn over every rock. But she was a freelancer, so she didn't have a Forbes email. So I found her website, and her form was not working. I was trying to send her an email through her form. So then I found her social media. And I do not DM people business. That is another key. Do not DM a producer, a journalist, a brand, nothing. You find their email. And so I actually was like, damn, I gotta DM her. And so I sent her a really nice note, and I said, I have been looking for your email. I found your website, and your form will not let me submit my contact info. She responded, she said, thank you so much for letting me know. Here's my email. I emailed her my client pitch, and she said it may not be the right time for them, but let me kind of put it to the side and I'll circle back. she started following me on Instagram. She saw me posting about my retreat, and she was like, tell me a little bit more about Homme Noir. And she actually was like, I ran it by my editor, and I want to do the story on you.
Wow.
Now, mind you, I felt a little way because I was like, I was really pitching a client. But the article ran, and then about 6 months later, she did the feature on my client.
That's amazing. So it's, again, building relationships. And Tamisha, you had something you had wanted to add
Yeah, you
on?
know, just main thing is know who you are pitching to, and don't waste your own time. Know who especially for television, know who the viewers are. Know their demographic. Know, you know, what race are they? What age is, you know, the religion. Are these the customer? Is this the customer that you want? Because you don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste the producer's time. Find out who the producer is. Email, as you said, email the producer. You know, just know who you are pitching to, and make sure that who you are pitching to is the people that you want to serve. Those are the people that you want to that you want to see your product or service.
And all of you made some very strong points about doing the research, knowing your audience. So how do you craft and find out, okay, what is my pitch? Like, what is my voice? What is my hook that's going to make each of you pay attention to me? Because you have four very different women here who bring four very different levels of access and resource to the table. You may not pitch them all the same. Correct me if I'm wrong. So how do you identify your pitch and know when to tweak it for the right opportunity? And I open that up to the panel.
Sometimes I look for a connection with a journalist. I remember, I think I had a wellness client at the time, and I saw that it was, because I stalked social media, and I saw that this journalist actually did yoga. So I was like, she would understand what this story idea is. And so the first thing I said was, I noticed that you love to do yoga. I have a client that would love to talk to you more about. So I always look for a little bit of a personal connection, and if there is none, then it's really, the subject line has to be compelling, and you gotta get to the point. Like, you cannot write a 5-paragraph pitch. And Nicole, I'm gonna call her out, because we've had conversations. She was like, I need you to do a PR masterclass, because she gets a lot of pitches, and it's like all over the place. And it's like, in your first 3 sentences, you have to say why you are reaching out to them and what the story idea is. And then you go into a little bit of a little bit more background, and then I would love to speak to you further, or I would love to send you more information, and allow them to respond or not. But it's really finding either that personal connection or getting to that pitch very quickly.
And the other thing is, why do the viewers care? Why does the audience care about what you are pitching? And that's one of the first lines I want to see in an email. Why do I care? Hook me there. So that's very important.
So I'll add to it. So I always say that you can't expect a championship ring before you go to practice. As part as your own brand strategy, if you don't know what your unique value proposition is and you're waiting till it's time to pitch to figure that out, we already have a problem. Right. That's way bigger than, you know what I mean, the actual pitch. Another thing for homework, you probably want to look up the Blue Ocean Strategy. How many people have heard of the Blue Ocean Strategy? Very few people. Okay, so it's going to prompt you to create what's called a strategy canvas, which will help you figure out how you can pivot from the noise in your industry. Okay, so the work on your business should be done prior to even thinking about, I want to pitch this publication. Like, do the work amongst your team to figure out what is my unique value prop, and don't wait till last minute to actually figure that out.
And I'll just add, like, when we're talking about like a deck that you're sending, like material, make sure it's customized. Like, I want to see my company logo on there. Like, I want to see what my customer is, to say, okay, I think that you all should focus on ladies, women of color between the ages of this and this, and my audience brings that, or my product speaks directly to that. And that makes it easier to go through, right? Because maybe this month I know we're focusing on kids because it's back to school. So if your deck is specifically talking to the children that we target, I know who I can forward that to immediately versus forwarding it to someone in ladies. So think about what your package looks like and make sure it's customized. I don't want to see another company's logo on there unless you're telling me who your past clients are. And it's good to show that because I can also show your reach too. And like she mentioned before, you have to be really relevant and a superstar in your own market, in your own state, before you start coming to the bigger ones, because I have to be able to walk into a room now and also pitch you. So what am I saying about you? What am I saying about your brand? If you have a really small following, and it's not always about followers, but if you have a smaller reach, if you have, you're in a really small town, you have to give me something that I can then sell, because our partnership is probably gonna cost me some type of money. So I have to be able to convince my executives that yes, this makes sense to the audience that we're trying to target at this specific time.
I think something that's also really important that you triggered was leveraging your community, your online community, because oftentimes what will happen is they will champion for you and they will let the H&Ms know that you need to rock with this individual. We saw recently with, did you guys see the music producer who got Meek Mill's attention on Twitter? Right? How many times have we seen this happen over and over? Leverage your community, allow them to retweet, let them tweet or get in touch with the company. And if you have a lot of noise happening, like people like companies like H&M will take notice of that.
But also know when to pitch a brand. Like when I first started Homme Noir, we were pitching a number of brands and we would never get any response, but we were so new. So we really didn't have any analytics. So it wasn't until our third retreat where we started pitching kind of like more hair care brands, right? And Dr. Miracles was our first sponsorship. And then our fifth retreat, which was Arizona, they actually came to us because our social media and our engagement is so high that PepsiCo Nutrition Group filled out a form on our website and said, we want to partner with you. Wow. And at first I was like, well, what are they talking about? Like, is this real? And it ended up being like one of the, and I say this, make sure your social media is game tight. Do not be on there wilding out. Make sure that you are representing your brand at all times. How this happened is the CMO of PepsiCo was following me. And she's been following me for a while, unbeknownst to me. And when I started talking about our Arizona retreat, which was in April, she's a black woman too. So we need champions in these corporations for us. But she went to her team and she said, we need to work with them. So her team reached out to me, and it was a 4-month process, but they ended up bringing on Tropicana and Quaker for this partnership. And now I can go to H&M, right? And I can say I work with Tropicana and Quaker, right? I can go to Unilever. I can go to these big billion-dollar brands and say, I had one that was behind me. Do you want to come now?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And
the other thing you want to do is make the work easy for the producer or the writer. So in my case, if you have links, if you have video links, if you have pictures, if you know how to word whatever it is that you're doing, because for my anchor, that intro into your story, write it. If you want it to be beautiful and you want everything to be said how you need it to be said, then you write it, and then I'll edit it, and then I'll give it to her to write. But make sure you make everything easy. Don't have me going to everywhere to research you or anything like that. Videos, pictures, links, social media numbers, all of those things are important.